The paradox of responsibility. We live in the age of freedom of speech, freedom of self expression, and free Wi Fi. I was born into it. You might have been born into it too. Ultimately, we are the beneficiaries of a lot of advantages that have been earned through the sacrifice and blood of our ancestors. Today, we can access everything so easily with so little sacrifice that we don't even consider the value. Rather, we tend to take things for granted. We feel entitled to these things even though we did nothing to earn them. Pleasures that are easily gained bring with them two main existential issues. First, people take everything for granted faster and easier. For example, there is a trial for Wi Fi on an airplane. Let's say someone messes something up and the internet access is lost after 15 minutes. Following the mistake, a mini riot breaks out on the plane, demanding internet connection. Wi Fi on airplanes is uncommon and hardly ever happens for free or at all. Still, the passengers, after only 15 minutes usage, got to used to the comfort of it that they viewed having free Wi Fi as the new normal. They felt entitled to their demand even if they never had internet connection on a plane before. Second, people think they should get things without sacrifice. In the past 50 or 60 years, the standard of living radically improved almost everywhere in the world. Everything became more accessible, easier, and faster. Oddly enough, the happiness level didn't rise along with it. Psychologists have never been busier than they are today. The number of patients with mental illness, depression, and anxiety problems is through the roof. As our feeling of self importance grows, the importance the world places on the individual seemingly shrinks. Why? On one hand, people's feelings of self importance turns into narcissism, which prevents them from caring about the importance of others. On the other hand, the many distractions in the world make it impossible to be able to do everything one wants. Everybody is caught up in his or her own FOMO. Caring about the issues others face probably won't be on their to do list, and it shouldn't be expected. Even if you build your hopes upon someone else solving your problems, they won't. The world is not responsible for you, you are responsible for yourself in the world. I experienced the paradox of responsibility early in my life, although it took me decades to act upon it. I still struggle occasionally with choosing to take responsibility instead of winning and blaming my problems on my unfortunate past and expecting the world to compensate me for them. The first time I experienced the paradox of responsibility was right after I moved away from home. I was very young, lacking the knowledge needed to manage myself in a foreign country. I knew nothing about money management or state institutions and regulations. On top of my lack of knowledge, I was 14, so nobody took me seriously. Go and bring your parents' kid, officials told me. One day I received a notification from my school that I needed a document to confirm my permanent residence in the country. Hey, I was playing with Barbie dolls a year ago. What is a permanent residence? What is a residence? These were my first thoughts. However, I knew this problem wouldn't solve itself, so I went to ask for advice from the canteen lady. She told me to go to the immigration office and ask for information there. When I went to the immigration office, I was told they couldn't issue a permanent residency paper unless the school confirmed that I legally studied there and lived in their dorm because of my studies. My school, however, wouldn't confirm my studies until I got the residency document. I was trapped in a bureaucratic catch. No one in the government office knew anything. They just sent me to another department hoping to get rid of me. My school didn't know anything either except how to threaten to freeze my studies and my place in the dorm. I thought the situation I was stuck in was completely unfair. My parents were far away. I had no one to care about my problems. Nobody seemed to care if I ended up on the streets and if I was denied my hard earned scholarship. Why? Because of some bureaucratic loop the government was too lazy to develop properly. What could I do? First, I cried, of course, and stressed, and fought with my parents, and then cried some more. Eventually, I got tired of each of these unconstructive problem solving options. I had to take responsibility for my life. Nobody else would have done it. And why would they? My problem was not their problem. Was I young? Sure, I was. So what? Screaming it into the face of a clerk wouldn't have solved anything. Bring your parents, they said. But my parents wouldn't come. They couldn't. They had no money and no idea how legislation worked in Hungary. I couldn't count on my dad coming in as my knight in shining armor to save me from the evil institutions. All I had was myself and my wish to stay where I was. I clearly lacked the knowledge I needed to argue my case. What do you do when you lack knowledge? You research, study, and learn. That's what I did. I went to the school's computer room and spent long hours every day after classes to search for the solution to my problem. It wasn't an easy ride. Legal documents, immigration law, and exceptions. Come on. I had been building mud castles in my grandparents' yard that summer. Why did I have to deal with these 3 months later? Why? As much as I hoped, no answer came. I was alone with my desperate mind. This is a tough and painful realization at any age, but the quicker you accept it, the easier your life will be. After a few days of research, I found an article that discussed imposing different treatments on foreign students and merging the terms of permanent residence and temporary residence into residence. I printed the wigged article and marched back to the immigration office, armed with knowledge and a stern, confident poker face. I didn't ask anything, just stated that I wanted a document that proved my residency at my school's address as a foreign individual based on the purpose of studies. As if I was speaking a different language, the official promptly provided the necessary documents that I then submitted to my school so I could be officially accepted. In retrospect, the solution was incredibly simple and something immigration officials should have known. Maybe they knew it, or it was something that would have taken them 5 minutes to look up. However, people don't have 5 minutes for your problems when they don't have 5 minutes for themselves. They might help, but you can't build your existence on the goodwill of others. You'll be out of control and constantly stressed out about the outcome. You will be bound to someone else's mood, knowledge, or willingness to help. Freedom isn't free, states the common saying, even though this saying was merely used to support the purpose of a war fought for the values of the country. It can be related to everyday life freedom as well. Your everyday freedom of choice and security has to be earned with sacrifice. This sacrifice might be in the form of taking the time to search for solutions by yourself and accepting responsibility for yourself and what happens to you all the time.